So when I was talking to my parents yesterday, yesterday was adoption day for my daughter. It was exciting. So much this isn't about adoption, but there's so much grief and everything that goes into it. I adopted my niece, and it was, legally all official yesterday. But I was having a conversation with my parents. They stayed a little later, and I haven't seen them in a while. They haven't been at my house. But they do know about my deconstruction, and I've been very honest with them about my atheism, and where I stand in that, not knowing that God isn't real for sure, but recognizing that the Christian God is definitely not right. And processing my religious trauma, my triggers, and the pain there. I've been extremely honest with my mom about it, probably because she's been more open to talk with me about it, even though they still do definitely believe, and I'm not, I would love to free them from the fear of everything that they fear religiously. But, I'm not actively trying to deconvert them. I'm just sharing my experiences, which is extremely important to me, because I would love, see, here I go getting emotional again, the fucking crying atheist on Facebook. That should be my on YouTube, the crying atheist. Everybody kind of has a title sometimes, and instead of just being Summer Barbie, I would be the crying atheist. Anyways, no, I can't do that. But if I stop being emotional. What a joke, right? Okay, so God damn it. It was I just want to share the things that I have experienced, because let me pause this and fix that, because that sound is going to be so frustrating. I apologize for that beep. I know that's very loud when it comes through on videos. Just like when I was a Christian, it was the center of everything that I did. It was the foundation of my life, and that's what I was taught throughout my childhood. So coming out of Christianity, there is an urgency in me to recreate, to rebuild after the deconstruction. And part of that is relationships. And that's what my epiphany was about my friendships. However, as I started talking here, I definitely recognized the painful aspect of not having a close relationship with my parents anymore. We don't bond at church anymore. My dad and I don't talk about new biblical revelations that I'm coming into, which was a huge area of communication and respect between us. He highly valued my biblical perspective, and we shared a lot in that area as far as connection goes. So I've lost the admiration of my parents. And it doesn't matter how hard I work, I won't have it at this point. I know that they're proud of me protecting my niece and adopting her, even though that was a battle too, because I'm not a Christian and I'm not going to raise her as a Christian. So there's something in them that is still scared. And I recognize that, and I feel it. They love me, but they don't admire me anymore. They respect me as a mom, but they worry about their grandchildren. So that's something I can't give them. I cannot give them assurance that their faith or their prayers will result in Christian grandkids, right? That, we'll continue populating the earth for Christ. So there's a lack of intimacy in our relationship because of that, but I don't stop trying. I won't. These are my parents. No matter how much they've done or not done, because truly they were just doing their best when they raised me. And I know that. So I'm not angry. I'm not angry with them for indoctrinating me. They did what they needed to do at the time based on what was helping them, what gave them purpose and hope. But I would love to see them free from, the bondage of fear and shame. So that's what I brought up last night, was how since, I can't remember how it came up, but I think we were talking about therapy. My dad said that he would like to see a therapist, that he feels like his mental health is in jeopardy. He had a lung transplant and he never really quite healed from it. One of his lungs didn't drop properly, so it doesn't fully expand. And he was coming into our house, and it was really hard because it was adoption day and it's super humid here. And he was really struggling with getting up the stairs at my house, even though we were helping him. In the past, my husband has literally carried him up the stairs. But we were trying to have him walk because my husband just did a strongman competition and his arms were like just shot from trying to recover, and he didn't want to drop him. Anyways, when he mentioned that he, could use some mental health, and it wasn't just like, pray for me, I need prayer. Of course I felt like, yeah, let's get you in to see a therapist. I love my therapist. She's helped me so much. And then my mom's like, yeah, I know that like your childhood wasn't good. You could see the shame and the guilt just covering her in her expressions of her concerns. And, I have been very honest with them about my pain. So I know that even outside of the religious stuff, they worry. 2 of their daughters are drug addicts, and 2 of their 3 daughters are drug addicts, and they always ask, like, what did we do wrong? And I do think that they did their best with what they had. So I'm not mad, like I said. Anyways, I'm like running around in circles here. I'm so sorry. Forgive me. It came down to when I said that, and I was like, she's really helped with my religious trauma. Oh, because my mom said that, and I said, well, it's actually really like religion-based, the stuff that I'm processing now. And I didn't want to look directly at my dad because I didn't want him to feel like I was attacking his faith, because I really am not trying to do that. Even though I desperately want my father to be free from fear of anxiety. He just has terrible anxiety, and he always has. Like, well, since he got diagnosed with diabetes, he's had really bad anxiety, and he fears death. It was so weird, though, because as a Christian, I had zero fear of death because I was going to heaven. So my father carries a lot of shame and guilt. Things that he says, like, were before he got saved. It just baffles me, though, that salvation alone wasn't enough to free him from that, because it's supposed to be. Like, you're supposed to feel set free and cleansed, and I don't think my dad ever has. Whatever he has done, and my dad is a good man, which I don't know why he carries all of that with him. I wish I had the answers for him, but I would love for him to. Anyways, he's depressed because he didn't recover from, he was always, dealt with anxiety, but like the depression is really bad right now because he can't physically even like walk himself to the bathroom. His recovery has been really bad. My mom deals with depression, so she's had a hard time following through with a lot of the physical therapies that he needs. And then he's also unmotivated and tired and just worn out. Everything has been an uphill battle for the last 3 years since this lung transplant. He just has not recovered. He looks very sickly. He's frail. He's all skin and bone. It's hard to see him in this state. Anyways, I say, my therapist is really helping me with religious trauma. And my mom's like, oh, I'm so sorry. Like, she genuinely is trying to understand, which I really appreciate. I do. I don't get shut down. I'm allowed to talk about it, which is huge, because a lot of people don't get to talk to their parents about these things, or they're afraid to. And at least my parents are hearing me and respecting my need to talk about my childhood and those things. And I just said, like, there is so much shame and fear and guilt associated with religion for me that letting go of all of that has just revolutionized my life. It's changed so much. The hope and joy I feel in life without the weight of everyone going to hell. My exact words were, it really affects a kid when they go to sleep at night crying for the world that they're literally picturing burning around them. The thought that the world was going to end and I can go back into how that felt. As a 7-year-old child, begging God to save everyone in your family because you cannot imagine them burning. How could I have more compassion for the earth and the world and the people in it than the God who created it? I couldn't even sleep at night thinking of people burning in hell. It was exhausting for me emotionally. My empathy was, off the charts when it came to people dying and going to hell. I wasn't so much scared of myself, even though I would still recite every sin that I could possibly think of that I committed that day to make sure that I was still saved. Even though I knew that I was, there was still this fear because my mom thought, like, if you didn't ask God for forgiveness for something that you did, then that one sin would send you to hell. So that is what my parents lived under. That's the guilt and the shame that they still live under. And that's what they try to teach me. I eventually was very secure in my faith, though, as a young teenager. Probably by the time I was like 10 or 11, I didn't cry myself to sleep worrying about everybody else dying, including myself going to hell for forgetting a sin. But I did, in fact, still cry myself to sleep for the world. Often. Oh, so much. So that made me think of relationships. And I have struggled with relationships. I'm such an intimate, open person, and I'm transparent and kind and compassionate and empathetic. I do have ADHD, which I just learned this year, which does make follow through complicated, and I have a really high rejection sensitivity, RSD, rejection sensitivity dysphoria, which is associated with ADHD and other mental health problems. Where even if I perceive rejection, it can really just destroy me. My feelings, my fight or flight response is boom, and I'm very nervous in those feelings. But relationships, because of religion, added another layer to that. So I in a sense, like my father viewed people as projects. We loved them. I love people deeply, but I had to learn to guard my heart from people. But I just wanted to be connected to people. In fact, when we adopted our daughter, one of the things that I said, one of the phrases that really stuck with me was, our hearts are our homes and we live in each other's. And that's just genuinely how I feel about people. I love cozy spaces, but I love when I meet somebody and they just feel like home, right? Where their heart is safe and my heart is safe in theirs and it feels good, right? Well, I didn't have a lot of these experiences religiously because I wasn't allowed to connect with people like this. And the reason was a fear of demonic possession. I know that sounds crazy, but this was my evangelical raising. Pentecostalism was very fear-based of the devil and his working demons. I was constantly assessing other people's spiritual lives to see if they were sound or good, and I was always scared of people backsliding because then that could cause me to backslide. And even though I was secure in my faith, Job got the shit beat out of him by God, even though his faith was good. And people were demon possessed, and I've watched people that I loved at altar calls having demons cast out of them. That was a legitimate fucking fear, man. Even though I didn't fear hell, I feared demon possession. And I feared just making one mistake because I felt like God had called me and there was just this like powerful anointing on me. And if I made a mistake, the devil was just waiting to destroy me. So people could have been that destruction for me, being too close to people. And I kind of just realized that, because I thought before it's just because I saw people as projects, and lovingly saw people as projects. I don't want to come off cold. I was never, ever cold. I defended anyone that I felt was in a situation of injustice. I still do. I am like a feisty little firecracker when it comes to people being hurt. I don't stand for that shit. I am a Cancer after all. And protection and protecting people is a big deal to me, but I think that's why too, when it came to like demons and stuff, I just had to protect my heart and my spiritual life from any garbage that could possibly come in, even from another person. So as soon as I saw something in their spiritual life that scared me, I didn't let myself get close. And I think I just got so used to that pattern where I would be very vulnerable with others and share things. But one-on-one, I was actually very scared of another word. You'll love this one, soul ties. I was scared of being too connected to somebody where our souls were essentially connected in a way that and I know that it was typically taught as, you know, being a sexual connection that creates these soul ties that you can't untie, and then, you know, demon possession. I mean, I know to some of you guys, this sounds fucking crazy, but this was my everyday life, and that fear was so real. I mean, I didn't watch scary movies. I didn't even watch like a hint of a scary movie because of the fact that I could be possessed by watching it on television. I could be possessed if it's in my home. I could be possessed if it's on somebody else's TV in their home. I could be possessed in their home just because they had watched it and there were demons in their house lurking because they watched this bad movie or a scary movie. So I was constantly on guard, even with people that I wasn't afraid of, but the fact that they might not have known they were demon possessed was enough for me to be afraid of their relationships. I shared that a little bit with my parents last night, and then, you know, I didn't push it, but it definitely brought to light some struggles that I've had because I've been working through these things, and I've really been cherishing my connections and working hard on them. And, you know, I always think, like, I'm afraid that people don't love me now because I'm not a Christian, and they're afraid that I'm bringing demons to them because that's what I was afraid of. I was afraid of being connected to people who weren't saved or weren't saved enough or were possibly possessed and didn't know it, or there was oppression or whatever. I was always looking for that feeling of oppression to make sure that I wasn't letting anything into my life from somebody else. My feet are going numb from sitting like this. I'm in my daughter's room because it's a quiet room and the kids are playing downstairs. I have 4 kids, so I really don't get quiet very often, and it is one of the reasons I don't upload a whole lot of videos. Because I like them to be, in a sense, spontaneous, and something that I'm learning at the moment. It's just like how I like to vlog, I guess. Anyways, I'm really working on my friendships, and they matter so much to me because I lost community when I left church. I lost it. I didn't get to have it anymore. And some of those friends are still connected to me, but deeply connecting with people when you don't have like all the same things in common. I wasn't allowed to do that as a Christian, and now I'm allowed to connect with all sorts of people, you know, but there is still like, and I don't know how to do it. I am such a kind, genuine person, but I'm just don't know how to stay connected to people. I haven't really practiced it. It's new to me to not be afraid of deeply intimate relationships. And there are layers to that. Like I said, I have ADHD, rejection sensitivity. I grew up in poverty and never felt like I was liked by people. And I have this deep need to be liked and wanted and cherished. So those connections aren't only because of religious fears and stuff that are lacking. There are other things, and I am, figuring all of that out one step at a time. It's just that this particular thing really stood out, and I wanted to share it because I no doubt know that at least one or two other people who are watching this can attest to and understand the experience of being afraid of demon possession through connection and deeply intimate relationships. I wonder if anybody ever fell in love with somebody who wasn't a Christian and you had to disconnect, even though there was something very special there. I had a couple connections like that where I knew I couldn't pursue them, and they probably knew they couldn't pursue me because I was a fucking psychopath Christian. But anyways, just thinking about those things, even those friendships, because in friendships I often took this mentorship role because I was the Christian. So if you weren't a Christian, then it was my job to kind of lead you and guide you in a sense. And I'm sure that's why some of my friendships with people that weren't saved yet didn't flourish. Why would it? Why would it? Even with all of this love and compassion that I have to give, and forgiving personality type, and just genuine and wanting to be connected, I wasn't a good friend. I wasn't. I wanted to be, but there were definitely things in the way of that. I'm working on it though. I think I'm a much better friend now. I'm working through my trauma. Thank you for watching. Share your stories if you like. Connect with me on Facebook. Connect with me on Instagram. I don't use it very much, even though I do use Facebook more. I do have 2 Summer by B accounts. If I don't respond right away, you probably connected to the Summer by B one that I don't use very often. Recently, I've been updating more publicly on my new one, so if you see a fresher update, then that's the one that I'm actively using. Anyways, thanks for watching, and maybe crying with me, at least watching me cry. Oh gosh, crying atheist. I start hashtagging that, but I probably shouldn't. It's not attractive. I don't think it's attractive. The vulnerable, the transparent atheist. I'm getting off of here now. Thanks, bye.